Hey guys, welcome to another community tournament, and this time I decided to go with which is the best Souls-like game. Now I went to check a few tier lists to see what games are considered Souls-likes, and from those games I chose 14 that I've played, and I had to add another 2 to complete the 16, which were Lords of the Fallen and Nioh 2. So I have never played those two games, all the others I have. Now I knew right away that this list would be controversial because some of these games are not considered Souls-like by some people. In fact, probably a lot of people, because I got destroyed in the comments while doing this tournament, and I kinda expected that. It wasn't a big deal. Anyway, let's begin this. So in our first round we had Liza P, which is one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. We had Code Vein, which is a very underrated, very cool game with some very nice boss fights. We have Mortal Shell, which I bought at launch, and it was kinda disappointing because the game only had like 4 levels, 4 weapons, and the bosses didn't even have a soundtrack. But, you know, apparently they changed that, they add a lot of new stuff to the game, so surely it's better now, but I haven't tried it. And we also have Salt and Sanctuary, which was a game that completely melted my patience, where I died a trillion times from falling. And in the comments, X I Keep It Real X wrote the fact that Liza P isn't at 100% is criminal. And honestly, it got really close, man. This was, I mean, it was not a surprise that Liza P would win this group, but with this difference from everyone else, that's insane. Because Salt and Sanctuary only had 1%, which is the lowest percentage I've ever had in any tournament ever. And then we had Mortal Shell and Code Vein, both of them with 2%. And Liza P won the group with 95%. That's insane. Now, due to the fact that Code Vein and Mortal Shell had both the same score, I had to do an extra round, and Code Vein won with 65% of the votes against 35 from Mortal Shell, so Code Vein and Liza P go to the round of 8. In our second group, we had Blasphemous, which is a really incredible game. We have Star Wars Fallen Order, which was the first Star Wars game I've ever played in my entire life. We have Kena, Bridge of Spirits, which is such a great game. Honestly, if you've never tried Kena, please do not think it's like a Disney kids game. It's very good, very challenging. I highly recommend it. And we also have Grime, which is a game I reviewed very recently, and it's absolutely awesome, great boss fights, and one of the best soundtracks I've heard in recent times. And in the comments, this is where it all began, because BB Key Cheese was the first to say Blasphemous is great, but it's really just a Metroidvania. So yeah, I was expecting, you know, a lot of comments saying this game is not a Souls-like, that game is not a Souls-like, and BB Key Cheese was the one that started it all, so thank you. Anyway, continuing with the tournament, Grime sadly got only 4% of the votes. I really thought it would get more, but even more sad was Kena, because it only got 6%, man. How is this possible? Such a good game. I really wanted Kena to go through. But the games that did go through were Fallen Order with 26%, and Blasphemous won the group, and I'm quite happy with that because I'm a big Blasphemous fan, with 65%. In our third group, we had another big time favorite to win the whole thing, Hollow Knight. We have Lords of the Fallen, which is one of the games that I haven't played yet. We have Sifu, which is one of the hardest games I've ever played. Like, serious, that final boss is insane. And we have Sinner, which is a game probably not a lot of people have played. In the comments, Rainier reminded me that 3 of these games are not Souls-likes. Thank you. So when it comes to the results, Sinner only got 1%, same as Salt and Sanctuary, which I was surprised because I really thought it would get 0. There is one Sinner fan out there somewhere. So yeah, that was kind of funny. And Sifu got 7%, and Lords of the Fallen and Hollow Knight go to this round of 8, with Lords of the Fallen having 21 and Hollow Knight big win with 71%. Now in our fourth group, we had Nioh 2, another game I haven't played. We had Taimiji, which is such a little gem with very nice boss fights. We have Still Rising, and I can't explain, but I really like this game. I don't know why, but I keep myself remembering of this game. I had a good time. And we have Ender Lilies, which is such a really nice short game that I also highly recommend. And in the comments, Yellow Z said, I heard Nioh is an amazing game, and Panagiu Tispansoff also said that Neo has some insane boss fights. And this was something that happened around most of the tournament. A lot of people praising Neo too. And you know, I gotta play this one day. I really need to play it. And for the results, Ender Lilies got last place with only 5% of the votes. Still Rising got 7. And Timesia got 9, advancing to the round of 8, with, of course, Neo 2 destroying this group with 79% of the votes. Now for the final 8, and we start with 1 versus 1, and Liza P went against Fallen Order, and in the comments, Trunk the Druid reminded me that Fallen Order is not a Soulslike. So yeah, another comment saying this game is not a Soulslike, and you know, it doesn't matter because Liza P completely destroyed Fallen Order with 95% of the votes, man. I kind of knew Liza P was going to win, of course, but not by this difference. Jesus. In our second round A8, we had Blasphemous versus Code Vein, and Carl Schappen wrote in the comments, you should put Dark Souls 2 in this tournament. And this was kind of a funny comment because it actually crossed my mind, this idea. I don't know, it's just that Dark Souls 2 feels so different from 1 and 3 that it almost feels like this awesome Souls-like. And I really crossed my mind, but you know, I would never do it. Anyway, Blasphemous has won with 76% of the votes and advances to the final 4. In our other round of 8, Hollow Knight went against Timesia, and Annibal Cruz wrote, Hollow Knight is not even close to being a Souls-like. Man, I was really getting destroyed in the comments by everyone. And even not being a Souls-like, Hollow Knight won easily with 82%, but actually I thought it would win for more, so apparently there are some Timesia fans, which makes me happy. And in our final round of 8, we had Neo 2 versus Lords of the Fallen. These two I have never played, so I was very curious what people would say in the comments. And Reg said Neo 2 easily, and Luis Esteves said I literally hate Neo, which was the complete opposite. And Ghosty Toasty said Neo is fun and fast, so back to good stuff for Neo. And for Lords of the Fallen, Darian Clark said it was a major disappointment when it came out. Now I heard Lords of the Fallen is much better now as well, so I wonder if the votes would stay like this because Neo won easily with 77% of the votes. Now for our final 4, we had the big match, Liza P versus Blasphemous, and in the comments Shad Stream Sam said I like Blasphemous more, but it's not a Souls-like, so I voted for Liza P. And this was the comment that made me really realize that maybe I should not have done this tournament at all, because probably people, you know, didn't vote for the game they liked the most, they just voted for the game that is actually a Souls-like. So, because, I mean, Liza P won with 92% of the votes. That's insane, man. I mean, Blasphemous is such an incredible game. Like, I would vote for Liza P, I'm not gonna lie, but come on, it doesn't deserve this difference. Anyway, for the other final 4, we had Hollow Knight versus Neo 2, and Danger CP9HP made me laugh quite a lot because he wrote, how is Hollow Knight a Souls-like? To which I reply, I wrote Soulslike tier list on Google and Hollow Knight was there. To which he replied, I searched a vegan alternative to chicken and it showed me steak. I do not have the intelligence to know it is incorrect. So yeah, he completely owned me in the comments. This was funny as hell. And Hollow Knight won also, you know, that's a saying also, Hollow Knight won and is the finalist with 70% of the votes. Now before the final, I still had a little bit of strength to continue and do another round for the third place. So Neo 2 against Blasphemous, and Turtle Knight said I have the platinum for both games, and I say Neo 2. And you guys agree because Neo 2 won with 60% of the votes, and at least it was close. This was a nice round. For the final, we had Liza P against Hollow Knight, 2 masterpieces, and in the comments, Sushar said Liza Peak, Jeffrey Ferreira said Liza P is better than Elden Ring. Okay, yeah, why not? And Kirani Kib said I thought Hollow Knight would sweep, but some people don't consider it a Souls game. And yeah, I guess that's the entire saying of this tournament. A lot of people probably just voted for games that they consider Souls-like, even though they might like, you know, the other game more, because I honestly am a bit surprised with Liza P winning for such a high margin, 78% against 22 from Hollow Knight. That's a bit too much. Like I'm not surprised Liza P won, but I really thought, you know, that the second place, whether it was going to be Neo 2 or Blasphemous or Hollow Knight, would definitely, you know, give more of a fight. But apparently you guys did not like the fact that I put games that are just considered, you know, like Metroidvanias or something like that, and gave a gigantic win to Liza P. And I guess making this tournament was kind of a lesson to me to never do something like this again, because because there's a lot of controversy and it's something I'm not the biggest fan of. And because of that, I decided that the next tournament will be a simple one. It's gonna be who is the hardest boss in Dark Souls trilogy. So if you guys want to participate, just go to the community tab and make your votes and write a comment, because I will definitely do another video on that tournament as well. So hope you still enjoyed this mess of a video and I see you guys on the next tournament. Okay, bye bye.